Hi, welcome to Figure Drawing Made Easy with INKPULP Instruction. I'm your host, Shawn Crystal. In this video, we'll be finishing our gesture drawing by fleshing out the arms and the legs.
All right, so now picking up where we left off, you can see I've got the box forms in place from our last lesson, the gestures in place. Making little tweaks as I go. Now we're going to talk about the appendages. We'll start with the legs, and remember that idea of rhythm.
What is rhythm when applied to the legs and the arms, and how do you use it?
So if we look at this part of the leg, it's sweeping in this direction, and then I've got a little indication of the knee in this direction, and then I've got the lower leg in that direction. So the idea of rhythm is this form flows into this form, flows into this form. Keeps your eye moving through the piece. So what we're going to learn today is if we've got this rhythmic line on this side, what happens on the other side? What you don't want to do is that. Just echo the rhythm. Because then it's not proper anatomy and it just starts to look like a tube. So ideally what you want to do is if you've got a strong sweeping curve on one side, I try to aim for a straight on the other or a semi-curve. And then that straight can wrap into this area and we can get another straight coming down a little bit here. Get a straight on the other side of that curve. Get a straight on the side of this curve. I've got this rhythmic line here and a straight going into there. And that's how you get the gesture form and shape of the leg. And the same thing applies for the arm. So if we look at this arm up here, we've got a curve here, got a curve on the underside here, a curve on the underside here. So what we're going to try to do now is apply some straights on the opposite sides. Curve here, curve there, straight into there. Okay. And remember, this is just a gesture. We're not going for proper or exact anatomy at this stage. I'll do another video series at some point to cover anatomy. But today we're just getting the shape and the gesture of the figure down, which is honestly the most important part. And in comics, it's the essential information. Proper anatomy on top of that is good, but not totally necessary. If you look at the work of Bruce Timm or Jack Kirby, you'll see a lot of gesture shape, and that's what's important. So finishing out this leg, we've got a nice sweeping curve on this side. So we'll get a straight going on that side. We've got a nice sweeping curve on this side. So we'll go in with a straight on that side. And that is generally how you will cover your appendages.
What is rhythm when applied to the arms, and how do you use that?
So let me do this arm while we're at it. Got a nice curve on this side. And looking at the piece, there's like a real flex to the arm here. Almost like it's broken, which is great. Straight on that side. According to the rhythm of this, I should have a curve up here and more of a straight on that side. So now we've got a lot of flowing movement through our figure. And that is the key to fleshing out your appendages. Let me make sure I covered everything because I think I did. Oh, the joints. All right. So the next step in this video is to deal with the appendages, with the joints of the appendages. So what I was started to say here and kind of backed off a little bit because I don't want to get ahead of myself is if you've got these strong sweeping lines that are really rhythmic, some hard geometric lines are really nice to contrast that with. And that's where your joints come in. So your knees, your elbows, your ankles, your wrists, So, you know, looking at this part of the gesture here, this is a perfect place to have a hard edge, a nice straight line there. And the same thing on the knee here. Okay. And then the elbow on this side can be seen a little bit. So you've got this beautiful contrast of these sweeping movement lines and these quick hard edge shapes. And lastly, we'll get in that elbow there. And then the ankles and the wrists are another great area to do that in. So you got a really nice hard ankle joint down there. And I love this because this pose really accentuates the hard, sharp wrist on there. And then up here, the wrist isn't so pronounced, but you can get from the palm out a nice hard edge into the thumb. And when you get that stuff going, then you're really getting a nice sense of movement and solid form. That's what I was saying in this, is you don't get a real sense of solidity. It's all movement. So when you get into the joints and you sharpen those corners, it adds more solidity to the form. And that's that.
Hi, my name is Shawn Crystal. I'm a comic book artist who's been drawing for Marvel and DC Comics for the past 20 years, and I'm also an educator. I built the Sequential Art department at SCAD in Atlanta with my good friend Pat Quinn. I ran that department and taught every class in that department for about 10 years. After I left teaching, I dedicated myself to drawing comics full-time. After a few years, I missed teaching, and I decided I wanted to create my own online comic book art school. INKPULP Instruction is designed to celebrate and teach the craft of comic book art. It is a series of videos and bite-sized tutorials that will instruct the beginning comic book artist as well as the seasoned pro. It is the best online resource for learning sequential art. Keep craft alive. Join INKPULP Instruction now.